In the quiet town of Omigwe, nestled deep in East Nigeria, life moved at a leisurely pace. It was a place where secrets slithered silently beneath the surface, often unnoticed until they reared their heads in shocking ways. My home, an aging two-story building surrounded by dense cashew trees, was a sanctuary of solitude. It wasn't just the whispers of the leaves that kept me company, but also Noma, my housemaid. She has been with me for nearly 3 years, a shy, hardworking girl from a neighboring village. At least, that was what I thought. Norma was a peculiar young woman. Her skin gleamed as if perpetually oil, and her movements were fluid, almost too graceful. I often joked about her cat-like reflexes when she caught falling plates or navigated the cluttered storeroom without knocking anything over. She would laugh softly, her lips curving into a smile that never quite reached her deep brown eyes. It was during one of Harmattan's chilliest evenings that the first sign appeared. I had been reading in the living room when I heard a faint rustling sound from the backyard. It was subtle but insistent, like the slithering of something heavy through dry wood. Dismissing it as my overactive imagination, I returned to my book. But the sound persisted, growing louder each night. Curiosity gnawed at me until I decided to investigate. Armed with a flashlight, I ventured out under the moonlight sky. The air was heavy and the silence felt alive. As I neared the source of the sound, I froze. There, just beneath the guava tree, was Norma. She stood still, her hands raised towards the sky, as if in supplication. But what made my breath hitch was the enormous python coiled around her legs, its scale glittering under the moonlight. Its head was raised, swaying in rhythm with enormous movement. I stumbled backward, dropping the flashlight. The sound startled her and she turned, her eyes meeting mine. For a moment, they shimmered with an unearthly glow before she smiled. That same soft, unreadable smile. Madam, are you okay? She asked, her voice calm and steady. I mumbled something incoherent and retreated to the safety of the house. That night, sleep evaded me as I replayed the scene over and over in my head. The next morning, I was convinced that it was a dream. But then the signs became impossible to ignore. I began to notice scales, small, iridescent ones, around the house. A faint musky smell lingered in her quarters, and once I found her gazing at a live chicken with an intensity that made me uneasy. Weeks passed and I avoided confronting her, unsure of how to approach such a bizarre situation. Yet my unease grew. One evening when she was away at the market, I decided to search her room. What I found chilled me to the bone. In a wooden chest under her bed were items that defied explanation. A thick snake skin, bottles of strange oil, and charms carved with intricate patterns. But it was a diary that caught my attention. The pages were filled with cryptic writings in a language I couldn't decipher. However, one entry was written in English. The bond between us grew stronger. Soon the time will come to repay the debt of life. Before I could proceed its meaning, the door creaked open. Norma stood there, her expression unreadable. For the first time, her smile felt threatening. Why are you in my room, madam? He asked, her voice low and cold. I stumbled over my words, clutching the diary to my chest. Norma, what is all this? Who? What are you? She sighed, her shoulders slumping as if burdened by a heavy secret. You wouldn't understand, she said, but you must trust me. I mean no harm to you. Trust you? I exclaimed, my voice rising. You have a python living in my backyard. What are you hiding from me? She hesitated, then closed the door behind her. Madam, it's not what you think. The python is part of me. It has been with me since I was born. My family owes a debt to Allah, the earth goddess. She saved my mother's life when I was a baby, and in return, I was marked to serve her. The python is her messenger and my guardian. Her words felt like a weight on my chest. Part of me wanted to laugh it off as superstition, but deep down, I knew she was telling the truth. The signs were all there. Why didn't you tell me? I whispered. I didn't think you understand. You always treated me kindly, and I didn't want to lose the home I found here. But now, her voice trailed off, her gaze fell to the diary in my hands. Now you know. Fear and anger battled within me, but above all, there was a deep sense of betrayal. You need to leave, I said, my voice trembling. Her face fell, but she nodded. I'll go by dawn, but please, madam, let me perform one last act of gratitude for you. That night, I barely slept, waiting for the first rays of sunlight. But as the hours crawled, by an overwhelming sense of dread settled over me. By the time I ventured out of my room at dawn, Norma was gone. In the center of the living room was a small clay pot, smoke wafting from it in lazy spirals. Beside it lay a note. I've left this to protect you. The bond between us growing too strong, and I did want you to suffer the consequences. Thank you for everything. May Allah guide and protect you. I never saw Norma again, but her presence lingered. On some nights, I would hear the faint rustling of leaves outside, a gentle reminder that some secrets are better left undisturbed. I've come to the end of this story. I hope you did enjoy this story. If this is your first time on studying Tobagli stories, you are highly welcome. Please don't forget to watch this video to the end, and don't forget to invite your friends and your family to my channel, and click on the subscribe button and turn on your bell button to get latest update. For my returning subscribers, you are my MVP. Thank you, a big thank you for sticking around with us. Please invite your friends and your families to be a part of Obiageli Story family, so that our numbers will keep increasing and it will grow.